should not be performing the halftime show because it's inappropriate, and I'll tell you why. I translated one of his songs, and get this, these are the lyrics. Young ladies, I like them underage. See, some say that's statutory, I say that's mandatory.
And how racist do you have to be to have a whole separate halftime show because you don't want to see a Hispanic American?
The Bad Bunny halftime performance was trash.
If for even 1 second you watched that halftime show and thought, that is anti-American, that is un-American, how dare they, you need to sort out your priorities.
I literally just got done watching the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show, and I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but it just wasn't good. And before anybody jumps in the comments, I went into this with an open mind. I wanted to like it. I wasn't trying to make it political. I wasn't rooting against it. I genuinely thought maybe this would surprise me. But honestly, it felt flat. Most of it was just people grinding on each other, not a lot of actual dancing. The choreography wasn't even memorable. And even the pyrotechnics, which is usually where the halftime show goes big, those were kind of weak. I kept waiting for a moment, like that one performance where you go, okay, that was it. And it just never came. And look, this isn't a knock on Bad Bunny as an artist. Clearly he's massive. But as a Super Bowl halftime show, it felt more like a club performance scaled up than something built for the biggest stage in sports. Also, I'll be honest, I don't speak Spanish, so a lot of the lyrics went right over my head, which made it even harder to connect emotionally. I kept asking myself, what's the theme here? What's the story? And I never really got an answer. I wanted energy, spectacle, something iconic, and instead it just felt meh. If you loved it, cool. I'm glad it hit for you. But for me, this halftime show was forgettable, and that's the worst thing a Super Bowl performance can be. Forgettable. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Appreciate you.
Last night's dueling halftime shows were the difference between a narrative of we versus a narrative of me. And I want to talk about those narrative differences because they accidentally gave us the perfect visual representation of the difference between the MAGA movement and the rest of America. And in the process, they also accidentally highlighted MAGA's greatest weakness. And before I go any further, please watch this full video and repost it because making this video required me to watch the entire TPUSA halftime show multiple times so that I could take notes. And I really do not want to have suffered that in vain. So just please. Anyway, so like I was saying, the dueling halftime shows were fundamentally, at their core, the difference between a narrative of we versus a narrative of me. Everything about Bad Bunny's halftime show was about community, about celebrating not only our similarities, but also our differences and acknowledging that those differences make for a more vibrant and joyful and inclusive society for all of us to enjoy. In contrast, TPUSA's halftime show was about spotlighting a single way of being American while othering every other way of being American as evil and scary and bad for our country. The very first words played on their live stream during the countdown to the main event was Charlie Kirk's voice saying, quote, "We are the only standard of excellence." That's how they chose to open the entire event. And that is not accidental. It is an intentional dog whistle, especially when it was very quickly followed up by Charlie's voice, again, saying, this is about saving Western civilization. And just so we're clear, Puerto Rico and Bad Bunny are Western civilization, you absolute jackass. Whether the white folks at TPUSA like it or not, Western civilization has not and will never be solely constructed by white folks or solely represented by the English language, and y'all can be mad about it. But don't worry, TPUSA also made sure to clarify early on in the night that they weren't just meaning to exclude Spanish speakers, they also hate lots of other types of folks too, all while centering themselves as the victim and claiming that it's actually the rest of us that hate and discriminate against them. They played an ad for Erica Kirk's Make Heaven Crowded tour that started with highlighting the Bible verse, John chapter 7, verse 7, which tells the story of Jesus telling his disciples to go on to the festival without him. In this case, the Feast of the Tabernacle, because the world hates him. And just in case their sledgehammer of a metaphor isn't clear to you, they're saying that they are the Jesus figure in this story and that the festival is the Super Bowl halftime show, making the rest of us, I guess, the Roman officials. But apparently they missed the actual meaning and context of that verse, because the reason that Jesus is hiding and not going to the feast is because he knows that the authorities are looking for him and will arrest him on the spot. So he's avoiding them because he knows it's not yet his time to. And just imagine using a Bible verse about the literal Son of God having to hide from authorities lest he suffer violent retribution at the hand of the state while this is going on in our country. Babes, y'all have sided with Pontius Pilate. I'm not sure if you realize that. They also then go on to feature an ad with Pete Hegseth. Pete makes sure to emphasize that the Pentagon supports this halftime show for real Americans. So I'm just going to go out on a white lady limb and hazard a guess that I probably speak on behalf of the more than 375,000 Puerto Rican service members and veterans who have served this country as real Americans when I say that Pete can go himself. And once they got to the main part of the show, TPUSA kept up both that same narrative of me and the idea that there's one good way of being American, and that way is white, in a very, very blatant way. Every song performed during that show, other than, Kid Rock's stupid, "My name is Kid Rock" song, was just another variation of Bo Burnham's country song.
A rural noun, simple adjective.
It was just song after song after song, filled with pandering country Mad Libs about fishing and trucks and cold beers.
I just want to catch my fish, drive my truck, drink my beer. Everybody praise the Lord. Y'all grew up learning how to hunt and fish, how to bust a 12-gauge pump and not miss.
You can tell your old man you'll do some largemouth fishing another time.
But quite possibly the best visual representation of the narrative of me that I'm talking about was the moment that Kid Rock dropped a giant American flag behind a giant light-up sign of his own name, effectively superimposing his own name onto the American flag as he screamed, "My name is Kid!" And just contrast that with the way that the American flag was portrayed during Bad Bunny's halftime show, where it was very much present and also very much respected, but also very much contextualized by the rest of the flags of the Americas.
God bless America. Sea Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Perú, Ecuador, Brasil, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Panamá, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, México, Cuba, República Dominicana, Jamaica, Haití, las Antillas, United States, Canadá, and my motherland, mi patria, Puerto Rico.
Beautiful. Bad Bunny's entire set was filled with quick little references and Easter eggs highlighting the different things about what it means to be an American. And none of it was centered solely on Bad Bunny himself. Every bit of it was the narrative of we, from the procession of the flags to their depiction of both rural and urban life and their multiple different representations of what it means to be working class. It was a masterclass. And I'm actually going to link another creator's video in the caption, which I highly recommend watching next, which breaks down a bunch of those references. She does an incredible job of breaking that down for y'all, so I'd rather you go give her a watch and maybe even a follow than just listen to me regurgitating her work. But here's the thing, y'all. TPUSA's approach to this halftime show is also their biggest weakness. And frankly, I would argue that it's the conservative movement's as a whole's biggest weakness. Their entire approach depends not on building a message or a narrative or frankly an America where all of us can see ourselves as a part of the collective we, but rather depends on convincing a very specific subset of Americans to no longer see themselves as a part of the collective we at all. It's dependent on isolating their base from the rest of us through fear and anger, not convincing the rest of us to become a part of their base. And that might work in the short term. It certainly has thus far, but in the long term, that will always be a losing strategy.
The Bad Bunny halftime performance was trash. That's how I feel. Now, for the viewers who understand Spanish, maybe it was good for you. But for me, who don't understand Spanish, yeah, it was trash. Here's the thing though, from what I'm seeing, it's showing a lot of cultural differences, and apparently it's bringing unity, or it's a thing about unity, one nation under God. That's probably the message, or that's the message that a lot of people are saying. Here's the thing. One, Buddy don't believe in God. And his message in all of his music, it shows. Here's the thing. You're not going to tell me that a guy who believes in God does this type of shit. Yeah, no. So let's move on. So like I said, maybe the message was for the country to unite, as of all these countries and of all the cultures and all the diversity, we're still one nation under God. Maybe that's what it was. But in this case, the problem is not the message, but the messenger. Because, yeah, the vast majority of this country have no fucking clue what he said up there. And I want you guys to also understand, I could care less about this performance. I just happened to hear it because my kid wanted to see the game. I was watching the Turning Point performance, which is also, I liked it, but the problem is also it shouldn't be the case where we have in one country a sport that was created by this country for this country, and the one time when this sport should be celebrated by the entire country, the division continues, because we all know Bad Bunny was chosen to spit in the face of Americans. And then Turning Point came up and said, okay, since the Super Bowl don't want to support American, since the Super Bowl is being anti-American, let's make a For America performance. Hence the Turning Point situation. But yeah, I just feel like you can't send a message to Americans in a foreign language. So the whole thing didn't make no fucking sense to me. And that's just my opinion.
Y'all, Bad Bunny ate that shit so hard. Like, Bad Bunny ate. To all the people talking about he should have spoke English, he does not have to speak English. He made his statement. He made his political statement. He made his musical statement. He made his performative statement. And every statement he needed to make exactly in his fucking language. He did not need to say a damn thing in English. And I feel like as somebody that doesn't speak fluent Spanish or understand Spanish fluently, I 150% understood the exact message that Bad Bunny was giving with that performance. And I feel like it was very obvious. Last year, we had 40 Acres and a Mule. This year, we had Bad Bunny, who was protesting against the difference in cultures that are being pitted against each other by white supremacy. And all of these things, y'all don't mind my lisp. And he said and did exactly what he needed to say and did exactly what he needed to do. I'm so proud of Bad Bunny. So happy to see it. I really enjoyed the performance. Like, he really ate.
Oh, I just watched the Super Bowl halftime with Bad Bunny. How many of you know what? How can I start this off? Okay, watching the Super Bowl halftime with Bad Bunny, I seen a lot of stuff that obviously I wasn't expecting. Nobody knows what to expect when they see the halftime. We don't know who they're gonna bring out. They just surprise us, right, when it happens. But watching the Super Bowl halftime show, when Bad Bunny came out, I don't know what he is, Spanish or Latino, whatever he is, man, the performance was phenomenal. I loved it. I couldn't understand a damn thing that they were singing, but the music was a vibe. I love how they brought the culture into it, man, with them in the fields and coming from off the telephone power poles, the electric poles or whatever. And what I really loved the most was the flags that they held up during part of the halftime show with all the countries, man, Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because I believe that halftime show with Bad Bunny was a freaking slap in the face to Donald Trump and all those freaking ICE agents, man. Even though they didn't say anything, listen, y'all watch the halftime show over. If you got it on repeat, watch it again, man. There's a message in there. You notice a lot of the halftime Super Bowl commercials were of Spanish people, Latinos. Remember what Trump said a while ago? He said that they lived in a trash island off the water. Remember that stuff a while back, guys? I feel like this is why he wasn't there. I heard that they were even protesting outside of the Super Bowl about Trump, man. But the message to me was clear. A lot of y'all probably was rocking to the music and jamming and vibing, and it went over your head what was going on, especially when they held up all those flags. Y'all know that was a pure slap in the face to Trump and to ICE, right? Think about it, guys. Go back and watch it and leave me a comment and let me know what y'all think, man. Listen, I love this, man. I love it. I freaking love it. This is why Bad Bunny did not want to tour in the United States, because of situations like this. But they definitely made a statement. Stand up, Bad Bunny. Salute to you, bro. You did your big one.
If for even 1 second you watched that halftime show and thought, that is anti-American, that is un-American, how dare they? You need to sort out your priorities, because what I saw was a man who was proud of where he came from, was a man who cared about his community, was a man who cared about the importance of love over hate, was a man who understood the importance of we are stronger together. What I saw was one of the most American halftime shows I think I've ever seen in my entire life, at least in my lifetime. That was a proud presentation of, this is who I am, this is where I come from. That's fucking American. That's American. If you can't see that, you need to ask yourselves a bigger question. What's this really about? Y'all really got to pull your shit together, because it's tired. We're tired. Bad Bunny, that was, baby, te amo. I need him to put me through a fucking...
Bad Bunny took the stage for the Super Bowl halftime show and showed off his culture and his music. And while that was the best part of the entire show, you really felt like you were taken back to Puerto Rico. And not only that, he had some familiar faces in the crowd, some surprise guest performances, and closed off with a message. To my much complete surprise, Lady Gaga was performing, which I personally didn't feel like it made sense for the performance, because I thought this was going to be an all Latino performance, but that's okay. Ricky Martin definitely did his thing, and that was amazing. And during the dance break, this is where we saw a lot of familiar faces, and like Lady Gaga, I also didn't understand Alex Earl's presence, but that's just me. But there were also Cardi B, Jessica Alba, hit it with the Spanish accent.
Karol G, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. We were trying to figure out who else was there, so if you noticed anybody else, please let me know. I'm also let my bestie from Guatemala take this.
Also, you saw Toñita. She was in a little house. She handed him a pitorro, which is a little shot of añejo.
I don't know what any of that is. By far, my absolute favorite part was seeing the Latino family, watching him win his Grammy and him passing it on to the next generation, saying he's opening the doors for other Latinos to do the same. I loved this part. Bestie's favorite part was
when he paid homage to the old school reggaeton from Puerto Rico, Daddy Yankee, Don Omar, Tego Calderon. That was my favorite part.
He closed it off in the best way possible by showcasing all the flags from USA, Canada, all the Latino countries, and displayed the message that he gave at the Grammys during his speech, saying the only thing more powerful than hate is love, and showcased a football that said, together, we are America. And that is how you perform at the Super Bowl, Mr. Benito
Antonio Martinez Ocasio.
Correct.
English isn't my first language, but it's okay. It's not America's first language either. What a powerful, rich statement by Bad Bunny in the lead up to the Super Bowl. Obviously, he has served as a flashpoint for the political moment that we are facing in this country in the lead up to his Super Bowl performance today, which is widely expected to be the first performance in Super Bowl history that is done entirely in a different language. And you can look around and see how people are reacting to this. The fact that TPUSA is putting on its own alternative halftime show as if it's going to hold a candle to what is going to be a beautiful performance that highlights the rich diversity of the American fabric. I am very proud of Bad Bunny using his platform for what he is. When he spoke out at the Grammys and said, before I said thank you to God, ice out. We are not savages. We are not animals. We are humans, and we are Americans. If there is not a more beautiful picture of what the American experience truly should be than an entirely Spanish halftime performance with an artist that is speaking out against the demonization of his own people in this country, I don't know.
So this comment says, if this is an American picture, then I don't know what is. Did I understand what Bad Bunny was saying in Spanish? Absolutely not. Did I enjoy the show? I did, and I think my favorite part of the performance from the Super Bowl halftime show is this part right here.
God bless America. Sea Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Perú, Ecuador, Brasil, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Panamá, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, México, Cuba, República Dominicana, Jamaica, Haití, las Antillas, United States, Canadá, a my motherland, mi patria, Puerto Rico.
And I thought it was really cool of him to give a shout out to all of the different countries in the Americas, you know, North, South, and Central. Because to me, it's all about togetherness and being united. And that's honestly what we need right now, you know, compared to the craziness that's coming from the other side. Especially since Trailer Park USA's performance peaked at 5 million viewers and then tanked the moment the NFL halftime.
I've come to the realization that y'all just hate the fact of being diverse. Like, y'all are the only people on this fucking, in this world, right? Y'all hate the fact of being diverse that y'all had to make your own halftime show. And I'm just learning about this morning that Turning Point USA had their own halftime show, and it just baffles me because y'all don't like diversity, but you like exploiting the fuck out of these other countries, right? Y'all like going to these places, y'all like fucking eating their food and diving into their culture, but when it comes here, you can't accept it. So this prompted me to do a little bit of digging, right? And it said that Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show drew an estimated 142.3 million viewers, breaking previous all-time viewership records. As the first Latin solo artist to headline his performance in February 2026, surpassed the 2025 record of 133.5 million set by Kendrick. But who's comparing? They were both great halftime shows. Then I looked up the other halftime show, and it says that the 2026 Turning Point USA All-American halftime show, headlined by Kid Rock, drew between 5 million and 6.1 million concurrent viewers on YouTube at its peak. The alternative halftime show, which streamed during the Super Bowl, garnered significant attention, with some reports citing up to 9.9 million total viewers across platforms. Some people just hate change and hate the feeling of being uncomfortable. But actually, being uncomfortable is good for you, right? It says right here, being uncomfortable is a primary driver for personal and professional growth, as it signals that you are operating outside of your comfort zone and challenging your limits. Embracing discomfort helps build resilience, increases motivation, and fosters creativity, allowing for but not guaranteeing significant development. And I don't give a fuck what nobody says. That halftime show was amazing, even though I knew not one word that was being said during that performance. But it showed so much within a short amount of time that anyone could have, that did not know the language, right? You would have been able to understand the message. But I see that y'all like to be stuck in that 1940 mind frame. Man, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Bad Bunny ate that shit the fuck up. Bad Bunny, that Super Bowl halftime motherfucking performance. First of all, the credit to the history that you showed during your fucking performance. If you know anything about Puerto Rico, then you know. From the music to the outfit to the dancers, you didn't even have a stage. You were on top of the store that you created for your performance. From the platanos to the men on the lights, and they were swinging back and forth to you getting up there to the dancers and the clothing that they had on. It's so significant. And then you brought out Lady Gaga and then the dances, the blue dress, baby. I'm talking about everything ate the fuck down. To having Pedro Pascal, to having Cardi B, and then to bring out Ricky motherfucking Martin. And then when you had the part with the fucking Grammys, you winning the Grammy and you handed it to little you. Oh my God. Oh, the message that you sent through that fucking screen was not only loud, but bitch, they heard it. You did exactly what the fuck you needed to do for that halftime motherfucking performance, baby. Be proud. If you are Puerto Rican, if you are Latin, if you are Spanish, if it moved you, if it touched you, baby, that's what the fuck it was supposed to do. Be proud of who the fuck you are. And just like I said too, he did that motherfucking shit all in Spanish, not a lick of motherfucking English. I know that's motherfucking.
Bad Bunny just made history with his Super Bowl halftime performance by delivering the first halftime show done completely in Spanish language. Here are the other Easter eggs that you might have missed. First up, the wedding that happened during the performance was real. Apparently, this was a couple that invited Bad Bunny to their wedding, and then he did one better and said, "Why don't you just come and get married at the Super Bowl while I perform?" He also debuted his first signature Adidas sneaker at the halftime show. These are called the Bad Boy ones, and the colorway that he wore is called Resilience. He wore them yesterday too for the Apple Music press conference. This colorway is called Rise. You'll be able to buy these pretty soon, and they're going for around $160. There are a lot of famous faces on the field with him, including Lady Gaga, Jessica Alba, Cardi B, Pedro Pascal. He also had Karol G, Alex Earl, Young Miko, and Ricky Martin. He didn't do a speech, but he did name every single country in North, South, and Latin America. And his whole message was what was written on the NFL football that he was holding. Together, we are America. He also had this screen lit up behind him while he was performing, saying, "The only thing more powerful than..."
Caribbean people, I never felt more proud to be from the Caribbean region than tonight. Bad Bunny, the baddest of all the bunnies, took our culture and put it on display for the world to see. From the sugar cane to the banana trees, from the men playing dominoes outside of a rum shop. He took the essence of our culture, what it means to be a Caribbean person, a Latin American person, and said, "This is us." And the incorporation of Cardi B, Ricky Martin, and Lady Gaga was more than just guest appearances, but was bridging a gap between those that were born in the homeland, those that were born in the diaspora, and those that are of our culture but love us all the same. And then the flags! St. Lucia, Suriname, St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, Puerto Rico, all my days. Benito, you did your big one tonight. Representing the Caribbean, Latin America, from us to the world, from the Grammys to the Super Bowl. You did your big one. Big up yourself, my man. Okay, bye.
Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl turns into an entire immigration argument. And the reaction says more about how we view immigration than it does about his music. So for the three people who don't know, Bad Bunny, he headlined the Super Bowl halftime show. Spanish music, Latin culture, global audience. He is the most streamed artist in the entire world. And Bad Bunny, he's from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is part of the United States. In fact, the U.S. took over Puerto Rico after the Spanish-American War in 1898. Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens. Bad Bunny is a United States citizen. And let's be clear about something else. Latin American culture is part of U.S. culture. Millions of Latinos are U.S. citizens. This country is a mix of cultures, languages, backgrounds, and the conglomeration of all these immigrants is what makes American culture. And before all of this happened, Bad Bunny announced that he chose not to perform in the United States because of immigration and customs enforcement. And quite frankly, that's a thoughtful position for an artist with a massive immigrant fan base. His concern wasn't about breaking the law or getting involved in politics. It was about putting fans first and not putting fans in a situation where they're afraid to show up to a show and enjoy themselves. Still, Donald Trump attacked the show on Truth Social, calling it absolutely terrible, and said he did not even attend the Super Bowl because of Bad Bunny. And why? Because Bad Bunny was trying to protect people, his fans. So let's call this what it is. The most streamed entertainer in the world, a United States citizen, performing American culture on the biggest stage in America. This should not be controversial. This moment has now become more than a halftime show. It's now part of how immigration is being talked in every corner of society. I watched the show. Very solid, very entertaining. Let me know what you think.
Have we ever had a Super Bowl like this? The weirdest part is this year's halftime, because it's basically turning into a straight up attention war. On one side, you've got the normal Super Bowl halftime show hype. Bad Bunny, the Super Bowl halftime show, Grammys energy, the whole pop culture machine. And then on the other side, you've got Turning Point USA, TPUSA, Charlie Kirk, and a ton of people who are like, yeah, I'm not going to watch the halftime. I'm going to watch that other thing instead. And that's kind of what's crazy. Halftime used to be this one moment where everybody watched the same thing. Now people are splitting into camps. Some are staying for Bad Bunny, and some are switching to Turning Point USA. Some are watching clips on their phone while TV is on, and some are literally just waiting to see what's trending so they can argue about it. So yeah, the Super Bowl isn't just football this year. It's basically who can pull more eyes during the biggest TV moment of the year. And I genuinely want to know, when halftime hits, are you watching Bad Bunny or are you switching over to Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk? Comment it, because I swear this is about to be the most debated halftime in a long time. Appreciate you.
Okay, so Bad Bunny's performance is a perfect mirror for every culture war happening in the U.S. right now. Let me tell you why. Every year people watch the same performance, but they don't see the same things. Some will say Bad Bunny represents global creativity, queerness, borderless music, and a younger generation that isn't afraid of fluidity or bilingual expression. Others will say he represents moral decline, an attack on tradition, or a threat to whatever version of America they grew up imagining. And that is my point. People are not reacting to the performance itself. They're reacting to the story they've been taught about who counts, who belongs, and who gets to take up that much space on the biggest stage in America. So when a Puerto Rican artist sings in Spanish at the center of a national ritual, it touches something deep. And for some people, that's pride and recognition, but for other people, that's fear and confusion. That's because culture is shifting, and shift always exposes old anxieties. So this performance was a battleground. This country is trying to figure out what it's becoming. Identity is changing, power is changing, representation is continuing to stretch past those old boundaries. So if tonight felt electric or uncomfortable or inspiring or chaotic, that reaction says something about the moment we're all living in. Now, I know this is entertainment, but I also know it's a snapshot of a country negotiating who we are. So let me ask you this. What part of Bad Bunny's performance did you react to, and what do you think that reaction reveals about our culture right now?
This was genuinely the worst Super Bowl of all time. Aside from the halftime show, of course, because that was the only good thing that took place during this game. Imagine spending $10,000 for a Super Bowl ticket to see a team kick over 4 field goals. Like, what the fuck was I watching? I mean, genuinely, everybody on the Seahawks side, we chilling, but I mean, like, I expected a way better offensive effort from the fucking Patriots, but them niggas was ass. And now that I think about it, where the fuck were the Marvel trailers? Like, shouldn't there have been a Spider-Man trailer displayed or something? But nah, genuinely though, this was probably the worst Super Bowl of all time, bro. Super Bowl 2026, bro. Terrible commercials, bro. I remember back when I was a kid, I used to look forward to fucking Super Bowl commercials, bro. They were funny, they were cool, but this year it was just boring, bro. The game was boring. The only thing that had me paying attention and off my phone was the halftime show, bro. Because every other second of the game, I was on my phone, scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Twitter, just seeing people roast Drake May the whole time. But hey, man, congrats to the Seahawks, bro. This is literally their second win in franchise history for the Super Bowl. That's a big fucking W. Everybody that placed bets on the Seahawks, bro, you knew what you were doing. And honestly, bro, I know I said a lot of the times that, you know, when you have a team that everyone's going for, you go for the fucking underdog. But I may have misguided some people because, you know, the Seahawks fucking won. You feel me? The Seahawks fucking won. And that nigga who placed a bet of 33K, he cashed out. I cashed out. A whole lot of my homeboys cashed out. I ain't gonna lie, bro. We eating good noodles every day. If you want some hot and spices from McDonald's, shoot me a DM. I may be feeling generous. But yeah, NFL is over, bro. It's time for the NBA Finals, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. It's basketball season, bro. Let me know who y'all got winning the NBA Finals in the comments.
Believe it or not, it makes perfect sense why the NFL chose Bad Bunny to perform at the halftime show. And I'm gonna show you why.
Normally, we would not mention this, but the NFL just announced that an artist by the name of Bad Bunny will star in the Super Bowl halftime show in California in February. not someone who might make at least a little bit more sense. No, instead, the NFL chose a guy from Puerto Rico, which is not a problem, but he sings all of his songs in Spanish, which is a problem. Not only that, just 2 weeks ago, Bad Bunny said that he never wants to perform in the United States again because he doesn't want his fans to get deported by ICE. This is a Trump hater and somebody who does not support ICE, meaning to Mr. Bunny, this month, again, we're still in September, he was never going to perform in the United States again. And then the NFL suddenly calls Mr. Bunny, and all those deep-seated, long-held reservations about ICE and Donald Trump suddenly just go away.
Now, a lot of people already know this, but there's also a substantial amount of people who do not. Rock Nation is the entity who's responsible for picking the NFL halftime show headliner. Do you want to know who owns Rock Nation? Well, none other than Jay-Z, of course. Jay-Z owns Rock Nation, which means Jay-Z, the gentleman who's married to Beyonce, you know, this woman who spoke at a Kamala Harris Houston rally, it all makes perfect sense. Anti-American, 100%.
My thing with the older black people posting about Bad Bunny performance, saying it should have had subtitles. No, it shouldn't have, love. It wasn't about you this time. You had a lot of times when it's about you. And the crazy part is, and if you know, that's how I know you're not well traveled. When you leave this great place of the United States, a lot of times they're not going to give you a menu in English. You have to figure it out. The stuff is not accommodating for you because it's not for you. Just like how this performance wasn't necessarily for you. We had our performances, and just like how our performances, there's a barrier to entry as well. It's a lot of stuff that you have to be black to understand what Beyonce was talking about, what Kendrick was talking about. This was their barrier to entry, and they needed that for them. Let them have that. Okay, you didn't know what it was, but you felt the vibes. You know how we are. We don't even need to have words to feel energy. Leave it at that. Like, it's just you complain about what. Complain about what. You just want to complain. That's all. I get it. Life is hard.
Early reporting is saying that 127 million views for the Bad Bunny halftime show, where Turning Point only got 5 million, and Trump is crashing out, even going as far as saying we have the best economy and the best 401ks right now. But I bet you missed this one detail that I just learned about. I'm in tears over here because Bad Bunny brought out Liam Conejo Ramos during the Super Bowl halftime show. Did you see him give his Grammy to Liam in that little clip? I am still shook by that. Just like the honor and the integrity and the emotion that brings to the surface for what we've all been through this year. It's just the icing on the cake. Way to go, Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny should not be performing the halftime show because it's inappropriate, and I'll tell you why. I translated one of his songs, and get this, these are the lyrics. Young ladies, I like them underage. See, some say that's statutory, I say that's mandatory. Oh wait, that's Kid Rock. That is the headliner of the Turning Point USA Christian All-American headliner halftime. That makes more sense. Never mind.
That's it. I refuse to watch the Super Bowl halftime show. Fucking Bad Bunny is trying to kill me. Literally. I decided to listen to his music. I would give it a chance, right? Because I've never listened to that. It's not in my wheelhouse. It's not my style of music, but I decided I'm going to listen to it because the halftime show is coming up and he's one of the biggest artists in the world. So let me put it on while I take a shower. Well, that was a mistake because that music is so infectious, so danceable that I couldn't help myself. I was shaking my hips. I was dancing in the shower. I nearly slipped and died. So fuck Bad Bunny. I can't watch the halftime show when this man is literally trying to kill me. But seriously, though, nobody cares. Nobody cares whether you watch the halftime show or not. Watch it, don't watch it. It doesn't matter. Bad Bunny doesn't give a shit. The NFL doesn't give a shit. They will continue to make money. The NFL is the biggest sport in the world. Turn it off. They don't care. Bad Bunny is the biggest artist in the world. Turn it off. He doesn't care. They're still going to make money. Do whatever the fuck you want. And I will 100% be watching the halftime show. That was just a joke.
And how racist do you have to be to have a whole separate halftime show because you don't want to see a Hispanic American performing at the real Super Bowl halftime show? Bad Bunny is from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a part of America. I do not know why people are upset that he is performing at the halftime show. That is some of the most dumb shit in the world. In the American halftime show, that is supposed to be replacing it for a lot of people, they're gonna go watch it on a different network, and it's going to be Kid Rock and 3 country artists I've literally never heard of. I guarantee that you haven't heard of them either. This is supposed to be a good Super Bowl. The Seattle Seahawks are my home team, and there's a 69% chance that they're going to win this year. That's incredible. People are betting that on Kalshi with real money. Some of the dumbest shit I've heard all year. Alternative halftime show. Fuck you. Bad Bunny is good.